Let's jump right into it, Mr. President. What's going on?
Okay, thank you very much. Good to be with you all. We're in a very critical phase of our war against the coronavirus. It's vital that every American follows our guidelines on the 30 days to slow the spread. The sacrifices we make over the next 4 weeks will have countless American lives saved. We're going to save a lot of American lives,
You
and
gotta fly on the
we're
curve.
in control of our own fate, very much so.
People are still hurting,
Maintaining
sir.
social distance, practicing
Right.
vigorous hygiene, and staying at home are your most effective ways to win the war and to escape danger. While you're fighting this battle from home, we're working with the best scientists, doctors, and researchers anywhere in the world. We're racing to develop new ways to protect against the virus, as well as therapies, treatments, and ultimately a vaccine, and we're making a lot of progress. I think medically a lot
That's
of
good.
progress. At the same time, we're also racing to get relief to American workers and small businesses, as you know. I want to remind small business owners across America that the Paycheck Protection Program is launching tomorrow. Nearly $350 billion
PPP.
in loans will be available to small businesses, including sole proprietors.
They're
These
forgivable.
loans are up to 100% forgivable as
Right.
long as employers keep paying their workers. Got to take care of your workers.
Right.
Furthermore, we want Social Security beneficiaries to know that if they are typically not required to file a tax return, they don't have to file one in order to receive the direct cash payments that will soon be distributed to American citizens. The Treasury will deposit the money directly into the bank accounts. And don't forget, I will always protect your Social Security, your Medicare, and your Medicaid. We're protecting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and I always will.
We also did spend
I'd like now
upwards of
to
the next
invite
$6
SBA
trillion.
Administrator Jovita Carranza, who's doing a fantastic job. She's going to be very busy in the next
Stuff.
little
Stuff.
while. And Secretary Steve Mnuchin to say a few words about these vital initiatives, and then we'll get on to the attack of the virus itself. And please, if I might, Steve and Jovita.
Steve is Secretary of Treasury. Oh,
Thank
go on,
you,
man.
Mr. President, and Mr. Vice President, Secretary Mnuchin, Ivanka Trump, and all who I have been working closely with in this effort. Small business is the backbone of the American economy, and the President has put the nation's 30 million small businesses front and center in the response effort, and we are working hard to get money
A
to
lot of
them
them are
quickly.
closed. A lot of
This
them are
is an
hurting.
unprecedented effort
This is true.
by this administration to support small businesses, and we know that there will be challenges in the process.
Many.
Secretary Mnuchin and I are working in tandem to ensure that feedback from our partners is being heard and implemented. The private and public sector must work closely together to ensure that small businesses and their workers across the country are put first. This administration believes wholeheartedly that if you are a small business, you are a critical part of the economic fabric of this country, and
We're
your
all together.
viability is critical to the economic well-being of your employees.
These are our friends, our
At
family
SBA,
members.
we are working around the clock to support small businesses, ensuring that we are prioritizing emergency capital for small businesses that are suffering economic harm as a result of this unprecedented.
Tell me you can't be
situation.
open.
This relief will help stabilize the small business sector by providing businesses with the financial resources they need to keep their workers employed and keep up with their day-to-day operating expenses. Today, I want to ensure that small businesses all over the country know about the Paycheck Protection Program and how they can benefit from this. Simply put, the Paycheck Protection Program is to help keep employees on payroll and small businesses open. SBA will forgive the portion of the loan that is used toward job retention and certain other expenses. We are working closely with lenders so that businesses can go directly to their local lenders.
That would make things easier.
Paycheck Protection Program
You keep
is
paying a
in
paycheck.
addition to substantial work that the SBA has and will continue to do to help small businesses, including providing advances on SBA disaster loans and forgiving existing SBA loan payments over the next 6 months. Additional details on these critically important programs can be found at sba.gov, and we will be updating these resources regularly. Our hearts go out to those affected by this terrible virus. Our communities around the country are stepping up, and we will get through this together. At SBA, we know that every phone call, email, or application submitted has a small business owner, their employees, and the communities they support are on the other side. Our most important objective is to allow small businesses to keep their employees on board and keep their businesses viable through this unprecedented disruption.
So paying people
I
to
want
stay
to
on payroll
reiterate
while not laying them off.
The importance of patience in this process as we work together to ensure that businesses are able to access needed credit. We will continue working around the clock as we've done with our federal and private sector partners, expanding capacity
Is it
and
too little,
working
too
to make
late?
our
I don't know.
systems as robust
Get up
as
with
possible
the
to
10 million
meet the
people
needs.
filing in the past
Thank
2
you,
weeks,
Mr.
something like that. Maybe not quite, but that's millions of Americans are out of
Thank
work.
you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Jovita. Mr. President, you've made clear to us we now need to execute. We need to get money to small business and American workers, and that's what we're doing. The SBA and Treasury committed to get this program up and running tomorrow, and when Jovita says people working around the clock, we had both teams working till 4 o'clock in the morning and start working again today. We've heard feedback from lenders, community banks, regional banks, and we spent the last 24 hours making this system even easier. So this will be up and running tomorrow. I encourage all small businesses that have 500 or fewer people, please contact your lenders. Any FDIC institution will be able to do this, any credit union, existing SBA lenders, and fintech lenders. You get the money, you'll get it the same day. You use this to pay your workers. Please bring your workers back to work. If you've let them go, you have 8 weeks plus overhead. This is a very important program. I'm pleased to announce we are going to raise the interest rate on these loans. And again, the interest rate is paid for as part of the program. The borrower doesn't have to pay this to 1%.
Oh God, the flickering. I need to fix
Announced it
this.
was
My
gonna be
apologies.
50 basis points. We've heard from some smaller community banks that their deposit costs, even though the government's borrowing at 3 or 4 basis points, this is on average a 90-day loan. To make this attractive for community banks, we've agreed to raise the interest rate. Again, I encourage everybody, take out the Paycheck Protection Program. I'm also pleased to report the economic impact payments. I had previously said this would take us 3 weeks. I'm pleased to report that within 2 weeks, the first payments will be direct deposit into taxpayers' account. And as the President said last night, the President authorized me to say that anybody that has Social Security recipients
folks that are already laid
won't
off.
need to file a new tax return, and we'll have that. If we don't have your direct deposit information, we'll be putting up a web portal so that you can put that up. It is a very large priority. The President has made clear we want to get this money quickly into your hands. I'm also pleased to report that we continue to work closely with the Federal Reserve. We're in the process of designing a new facility that we call the Main Street Lending Facility. We're also looking at facilities for state governments as well. And I'm also pleased to report the Employee Retention Credit. It's up and running. The first $10,000 of wages, you get a 50% credit. That's $5,000 per person. And for everyone who's kept someone, you can immediately get that money. You can deduct it from what you owe the IRS immediately. If you don't owe us money, you'll get a refundable tax credit. So that is up and running. I'm also pleased to report we have the program up and running. We're taking applications from the airlines, from the cargo companies, and from national security companies. So thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Steve. For Jovita or Steve, any questions, please?
Yes. Mr. Secretary, Chase Bank sent a letter to its business clients today saying that they don't have the necessary guidance from the SBA, from the Treasury Department, to be able to accept loan applications starting tomorrow. The need is clearly enormous, but at least one major bank says they're not fully empowered yet to be able to help.
They're not exactly sure what they can
I spoke to
do.
all the CEOs yesterday. I had a conference call with them. We got very good input. from them on what they needed. As I said, people were working
Well,
till 4
CEOs
o'clock.
don't
I
also
believe we
necessarily know
just
everything that's
put up
going
the
on at
Federal
every point.
Register with the new guidelines for lenders. I've been assured that the banks will be in the process starting tomorrow.
Oh,
Now,
no, no,
again,
I'm sure
it's
they
gonna
will,
take
but
a little bit of time, but we
they also
committed
don't wanna get
that this will be
screwed.
available tomorrow, and I
I can understand
encourage
that.
all companies,
But we
go
need
to
them now.
SBA.com, go to Treasury.gov.
We are watching.
You can see the information you need immediately.
Just to follow up with the small business owners, a number of them saying that they were on that conference call and that there's a tremendous power struggle going on between the Treasury and SBA, and that it's over process and forms is what they tell me, and that lenders are actually opting out because they can't make enough money to even service the loans. So how are you going to make sure these small business owners get the capital they need to survive right now?
Don't we
First of all,
have
I can
the
assure you, Jovita's
DPA?
here. Jovita used to work for me as the treasurer.
Are the
There's
banks
no power struggle.
a production thing?
Jovita and our team,
Is
as
this
I
a
said,
smart thing?
worked together till 4
Is it
o'clock
possible?
in the
I don't
morning,
know.
Started working at 7 o'clock again. We've made the form simpler, and I can assure you, at 5 points, I've told these bankers they should take all their traders and put them in the branches. So there'll never be another opportunity to earn 5 points on a 90-day fully government guaranteed loan.
5%, 5 basis
Checks right
points.
into direct deposit, IRS now saying it could take 4 to 5 months, you're saying 2 weeks.
Let
Can
me
you give us-
let me be clear.
give
I
us
don't
a
know where you.
solid-
Let me be clear. I don't know where you're hearing these things. I told you this would be 3 weeks. I'm now committing to 2 weeks. We're delivering on our commitments. The IRS, which I oversee, within 2
She's
weeks,
hearing it from her
the first money will be in
sources,
people's
probably in the banking industry.
The question is not about the first checks for folks who have direct deposit. It sounds like those will go out pretty quickly. The question is then for folks who don't have direct deposit. And there was a staff memo that was released by the House Ways and Means Committee today saying that that process could take up to 5 weeks. That takes you to mid-August. Is that how long it's going to take?
That is not going
Or
to
5
take
months, I'm
5.
sorry.
Again, let me just say, when Obama sent out these checks,
I'm hearing
it
the
took
post
months
office
and
is-
months and months.
doesn't have enough
I am
positions and
assuring
stuff.
the American public
Oh,
they
no.
need the money now. What
Oh,
we're
that's
going to do
true.
is, again, if we have your information, you'll get it within 2 weeks. Social Security, you'll get it very quickly after that. If we don't have your information, you'll have a simple web portal. You'll upload it. If we don't have that, we'll send you checks in the mail.
How many checks can you process a week, though? How many checks can you?
Again, we can process a lot of checks, but we don't want to send checks. In this environment, we don't want people to get checks. We want to put money directly into their
Yeah, I was talking about people
Thank you, Mr.
carrying
Secretary.
it.
This is for, I guess, both you and the administrator. There have been some anecdotal reports that business people trying to get access to the online site to submit the applications. The website's been crashing. I've heard of webinars going
Well,
offline.
that's never
because
happened.
There's just too many people on them. So how are you guys going to be ready, tomorrow to get these loans out?
We've brought in a lot of external resources.
Banks.
At SBA and us today. As I said, we heard a lot of good feedback yesterday to simplify this process. It's going to be up and running. Now, let me just be clear. That doesn't mean everybody is going to get their loan tomorrow, but the system will be up and running. We encourage people over the next week. Sign up. You can go on.
A lot of
right
folks
now,
said
you
they'd
can
be
go
there
on
at
the web,
12:01
see
a.m.
What information you need. Very simple process.
It's not like we've had any other government
You've been in touch
websites
with
crash
Mitch
before.
McConnell and Speaker Pelosi about their differences right now about another stimulus package.
I've spoken to the leader. I've spoken to the speaker. I've spoken to the president constantly. When the president's ready and thinks we should do the next stage, we're ready. The president's talked about the issue of infrastructure since the campaign. I think that's a big priority for him. And again, if we run out of money,
We're
on the small
reevaluating
business
everything
program,
right
we'll
now.
be back right away to Congress to get this increased.
Does the unemployment numbers today increase the urgency of doing a phase 4?
Well,
This
let me just say,
this is the natural thing. You
we're
ask
going
places to
through
shut
something
down.
that we've never done before, where
Millions
the
of
government
people
has
are
shut down big
gonna be
parts of the
unemployed.
economy because of health reasons. Our economy was in great shape. Our companies were in great shape. There are 3 ways that Americans are going to be protected. For small business, they'll get paid by their business through this program. The direct deposit. There's also enhanced unemployment. So we realize, unfortunately, there are a
Additional
lot of
unemployment.
companies that, because they aren't in business over a short period of time, again, we're working with the states on enhanced unemployment. And as soon as the medical professionals and the president give the all clear, we're going to have a ton of liquidity. We have about $6 trillion This has never been done between
Six
us
point
and the
two
Fed.
trillion
to
dollars.
put into the economy to support American workers and American business.
Secretary,
Inflation.
in addition to the jobless
Yeah.
numbers we saw today,
It's already
Thanksgiving
here,
signed
but-
before the social distancing guidelines were extended for another month. So what additional relief are you going to give to Americans as they stay out of work for all these extra weeks? I mean, what are you waiting for?
A lot of companies are stepping up.
In designing this program, we thought that we had liquidity for about 10 weeks, and that's what we've designed. And again, I think the president's been very clear. If we need to go back to Congress to support the American economy and American workers, we will be doing that.
So it's on the
Mr.
table.
Secretary.
Secretary Mnuchin, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has formed a select committee to oversee the distribution of recovery funds, and she says she wants to make sure that those funds are wisely and efficiently spent. Do you think that select committee is something that's necessary?
I don't. I mean, you know, both parties
You
wanted
wanna
us to
see where
have
the money
oversight,
is going.
wanted us to have
You wanna
transparency. We have full
have
transparency.
bipartisan or,
We
no,
have
excuse
a
me,
oversight
a
committee
nonpartisan
that,
committee.
The speaker gets to pick someone, the leader gets to pick someone. I believe there's 5 people on it. And again, that committee will review the money that we're spending. And again, we support full transparency. Taxpayers should understand
Well, that's the
how we're
thing.
going to support
Don't
this
keep it
economy
shady.
and
Keep it
jobs.
open there for people.
Secretary,
I think that
Senator
solves a lot.
Murkowski has asked you to consider providing loans to energy companies under the CARES Act, the Phase 3 bill. What are your thoughts on that? Would you consider providing those loans to energy companies?
So thank you, and let me clarify. I have very limited ability to do direct loans out of the Treasury. I can do them for passenger airlines, cargo airlines, contractors, and national security companies. Outside of that, we work with the Federal Reserve to create broad-based lending
Power
facilities, which we will
structure
do.
is
So
not
our expectation
national
is the
security?
energy companies, like all our other companies, will be able to
That's
participate
interesting.
in broad-based facilities, whether it's the corporate facility or whether it's the
we
Main
did-
Street facility, but not direct
We
lending.
did
out of the
privatize
Treasury.
it.
A question for clarity about the direct payments to Americans. For those folks who don't have bank accounts, who don't have direct deposit information on file with the IRS, how long would they have to wait for their check?
Well, for people who don't have direct deposit, again, we'll have an easy way they put it up. We can, on a rolling basis, I think,
They could
within a couple
list
of
a bank
days when they
account.
give it to us, we'll send the money out. We do realize there are people who are underbanked. And again, we're working with all the digital companies, prepaid debit cards. We're working with all of them to make sure
another
we have
option.
a process that every American gets their money quickly.
Preload
This money
cash
does
on a
people really
card.
good if it shows up
Prepaid
in
Visa,
4 months, and we
MasterCard.
will deliver on that
So
promise.
quickly is a matter of weeks then perhaps, not months.
Quickly is a matter of weeks and not months. That's correct.
All
Would
right.
you consider
In
a
the
moratorium on
Go ahead.
Mr. Secretary, one area where you can make direct loans is to the airlines.
Hmm.
How much do you expect that the Treasury Department and the federal government will be involved in overseeing the operations of airlines as it pertains to
We're
which
gonna own
routes
part of the
they can
airlines,
cut
in my
back,
opinion.
how much they operate, what they do about their employees, and the like?
So there are very strict requirements that's built into the bill. Again, this was a bipartisan requirement. One, anything we do with the airlines, they have to maintain substantially all of their employees. So again, any money that we provide them will go to pay their employees. We're
All
going to be working with the
infrastructure.
Secretary of Transportation. There are requirements to maintain certain routes. So again, we have a very clear process. We've hired 3 outside advisors, will be financial advisors, and 3 law firms. We'll be releasing that information shortly. And I want to thank them. They're all working for basically very, very little money. They couldn't work for free, so they've agreed to basically work for what they would sign up to work for charitable organizations. So again,
So that's Secretary Steve Mnuchin there, and he's basically outlining what we've kind of seen and or at least heard through a lot of this stuff within how the Treasury is working to basically keep Americans going and everything. So basically he laid out essentially a 3-point plan, which was the payroll protection program. So basically, if you are a small business, I believe it's of under 500 employees, you can apply for a loan that is actually can be forgiven, or at least the parts in regards to maintaining people on payroll. Okay, that was number 1. Number 2, we're talking about direct cash payments, either direct deposited or mailed via check. People can find it online via a recently instituted government portal. I'll put the link to the White House's briefing on this, so they should have all the contact information down there as well. And then I believe, what was it, the fourth one there? I don't know. No, excuse me, not fourth, third. There was another point as well. It escapes me at the moment. It sounds like, what was it? It was another one of those payments, or, excuse me, enhanced unemployment as well. So I believe I had heard something upwards of, rather than standard state unemployment benefits, they would be paying, I believe it was up to $600 additional a week in unemployment benefits to just try to keep people going. I believe that was the third point. He may have highlighted something else, but again, this was the initial part of the Corona Task Force briefing from yesterday. Again, a little bit of a different thing, bit more on the finance side of things, bit more upon how we're going to financially keep the country going. And as Mr. Mnuchin said, he believes that the current $2.2 trillion package will provide liquidity for approximately 10 weeks for these United States. So that's all we got right now. Hey, thank you all for watching. Take care, be safe, and long live the elbow bump.